Welcome to another episode of Preferred Walk On. I'm your host, Max Chatto. We've got another interview for you guys today. If you haven't already, check out the series of interviews that I've done so far. And next up is Duke offensive tackle Graham Barton, who was phenomenal this past season at left tackle for the Blue Devils. He had an 88.2 overall grade this past season, which was fourth among all tackles in the country. He also was the only Power 5 tackle with 85 plus pass blocking and run blocking grades last year, and he had the most big time blocks in the country and had 5 more than any other tackle in the country. If you don't know, big time blocks are PFF's highest graded blocks. Barton is my number 4 offensive tackle in college football, and he was a top 25 pick in my way too early 2024 NFL mock draft. So go check that out if you haven't already. And of course, go check out the feature article I did in Graham Barton over at pff.com. And a major thank you to the executive producer of the show, also the guy who sets up every single one of these interviews, Dave Sofaro, for yet another superstar, and we got more to come as well. But without further ado, here he is, Duke offensive tackle Graham Barton.
So first question I want to ask you, Graham, was, you're obviously now a superstar in college football, an NFL draft prospect, but when did you know that, hey, I'm kind of better than everybody on the field right now, and maybe not only a college football career is possible for me, but maybe an NFL one as well?
I don't think there's a specific moment where I knew. I think I'm a great player, but I don't think that that would happen without, the guys around me. Just with this transformation we've had, going from 3-win seasons to winning 9 games last year. I think that's a huge part of the success I've been able to find, is just having great teammates and great coaches around me. And just an awesome support system. I really couldn't ask for any more, and I just try to reciprocate that and be a good leader and help them as much as my teammates and coaches help me.
I love that, man. So coming out of high school, you had a number of scholarship offers, but what made you decide on the Duke Blue Devils as your next home?
Yeah. I committed to Duke pretty early on. I was getting recruited for 3 or 4 months, and I came on a visit here, and I met the coaches, and I met some of the commits in my class, and I just kind of fell in love. Right, it's beautiful here. I felt so supported. I felt home. I felt comfortable. It was the right group of people for me to be around, and I think that was a huge part of my decision. Is you want to pick the people that that are going to surround you for the next 4 or 5 years, and so I think I did a great job of that. And, I say this all the time. I wouldn't change it at all. I love being here. I love being a part of this university, this football program. It's really been special. And, I fell in love with the people here first. And then academics obviously is a great bonus. But that really wasn't at the top of my decision. I think that's something that obviously I valued in the decision, but I came here and, on a weekend visit, and I went home on Monday and committed. So I think that was all it took.
I love that, man. I don't know too many people from Duke, unfortunately, but I did visit Durham one time, and I can confirm that it is absolutely gorgeous in Durham, man. So I think you made the right choice for sure. But coming out of high school, man, you were like a 3-star recruit. Now you've turned into, like I said, one of the best players in college football. Did you kind of develop a chip on your shoulder throughout that recruiting process and knowing that, hey, I'm better than what these services rate me as?
Not necessarily. And that stuff never really bothered me. 3, 4, 5. I didn't really care, to be honest with you. I was more worried about, just my career as an individual at that point. And so I didn't really care what recruiting services said about me. I just wanted to go to the team that I wanted to go to, and, where I was comfortable. And I think I did just that. I just try to focus on the process, if you wake up every day and just kind of take it that day by day approach, and you focus on the process and not as much of the results, I think, that the results will come. And so I've just tried to do that. And I think so far it's been working, and yeah.
Yeah, I think it's definitely worked out, man. But coming out of high school, you were listed as a guard by a lot of services. You played center your redshirt freshman year, and obviously you kicked out to left tackle these past 2 seasons. Do you kind of pride yourself on that versatility, that ability to play basically all 5 positions of the offensive line?
Yeah, I think it's I think it's important for sure as an offensive lineman to be able to play wherever your team needs you. So that kind of happened for me here, just with some injuries. I stepped into center my freshman year, and then being bumped out to left tackle. I am so grateful for that time as a center, and I love playing left tackle too. And so I think just doing whatever the team needs me to do, whatever I can do to help us win and be in the best situation, I'll absolutely do. So just having that experience at center, I'm very grateful for it. Proving that I can do it, and then bumping out to left tackle and being able to kind of mature as a left tackle has been really awesome too. Just so people ask me, I just say I play offensive line. I don't really, so it's been great so far though.
I love that, man. So for people who haven't played offensive line like myself, what would you say the biggest challenge was going from the middle of the offensive line at center to all the way on the edge at offensive tackle?
Yeah, well, it's just a different game, right? I mean, there's some of the same principles of like physicality and toughness and grit and finish, but it's just a different game. Pass protection's a different game. Some angles are somewhat different, and so I think I just had to learn fundamentally basically a new position, right? And so I think I did a pretty good job acclimating to that switch, but it's something that I think if you don't play offensive line, you don't understand as much that it really is learning a new position. It's not the same thing at center as it is at left tackle. So I think that was one of the biggest, changes I had to go through, was just kind of fundamentally finding a groove, what works, what doesn't, that kind of trial and error phase. But I think now that, I've played both, I think that kind of, I think you combine the two, you can, pick up guard pretty easily too. So, I just think that fundamental change was different, but being able to go through both changes from tackle to center and then back out to tackle was really important for my development.
I love that, man. So, obviously I think you figured it out pretty easily because you were the only Power 5 tackle who had an 85 plus PFF grade, both as a pass blocker and as a run blocker. What do you think separates you from other tackles around the country, both as a pass blocker and run blocker?
I just think I'm an athletic body. I'm an athletic build. And so I think that's why I've been able to kind of excel in both the run and the pass. Is just, when you're an overall athlete, you're coachable and you can do things that you can control your body and, in ways that a lot of people can't. And so just being fluid and strong and quick on my feet and explosive, I think that like those kind of intangible traits kind of help me be able to learn both the pass and the run pretty well and kind of do what I need to do to win blocks. So
do you feel like you have kind of like a mentality change when it comes to pass blocking versus run blocking? What do you try to focus on when you're in both those aspects of the game?
Yeah, I mean, it's a different, obviously, one you're backing up and one you're going forward. But I don't think my mentality changes at all. There's a common saying out there. It says pass pro isn't passive. So you still need to be active with your hands, with your feet, matching defenders, going out and challenging them. So I think that's just something, I've got to continue to improve on and become more consistent with. But I wouldn't say my mentality changes. I'm still trying to dominate the block, still trying to finish through the whistle, and I'm still trying to keep our ball carriers upright. So I don't think the mentality itself changes, but certainly, your keys and your targets change a little bit. But I still think you've always got to be active. You've always got to go out and challenge them, because they're coming at you. So.
Yeah, absolutely, man. So would you say that you have mentality, though, that you're the best offensive tackle in college football every time you step out on the field?
I wouldn't say that's my mentality. I don't compare myself much to others. I try to be the best Graham Barton I can be on the field to help us win on Saturdays. And I think, like I said earlier, the results will come from that. If I can, because I'm not, I'm a different tackle than everyone, and everyone's their own body and football player. So I think if I can be the best version of me, that'll take me as far as I want to go. So yeah, I guess my mindset is more not don't be the best Graham Barton today. And I think that, does the job for me.
I love that mindset, man. If you don't consider that, yeah, I can guarantee you that we at PFF think you are definitely one of the best offensive tackles in college football, man. And one of the biggest reasons why is, you had 17 in PFF's highest graded blocks. We call them big time blocks. You had 5 more big time blocks than any other tackle in college football. What is that feeling like, man, when you absolutely pancake someone?
Yeah, it's sometimes I'll just start laughing out there. If I, with a great block, like it's just so much fun. Like that's the peak of offensive line. That's why you play the position. To be able to put someone on their back and finish through the whistle. And Coach Cushing, my offensive line coach here, he does such a good job teaching. The finish, and I just think I've bought into that 100%. It's why you play the offensive line position. It's why you get started in the offensive line position, is to be able to take people from point A to point B and, hopefully put them on their back. So, I mean, it's so much fun. There's certain blocks, you can't try to, go kill them, and you just want to make sure you make the block, but getting the opportunity to do that's a lot of fun. And I absolutely love it.
Like I just mentioned before, man, you had 17 of those big time blocks. What would you say? One of my favorite questions I love asking offensive linemen in general is what their favorite block of their career was. For you, I was watching your tape this past week, and you had one against North Carolina where you took a defender, threw him into another defender, and tripped the other defender too. You probably love that one because it's a rivalry game too. Was there one that you go back to and say, you know what, that is my favorite block I love watching on tape?
Yeah, it's funny you bring up North Carolina, because I think it was that same game. It was second play of the game. We ran a little pin and pull scheme, and I pulled around and just kind of decleated a linebacker. They flew a few yards back, and it was the second play of the game. And so I was just wanted to set the tone, and I feel like I did with that block, and it was one of the more exciting plays in my career. We didn't score on it, but we got a good 5-6 yard gain. So I was okay. But yeah, that one immediately came to mind, and it was a great play for me.
I love that, man. So we've been mentioning this whole time how dominant you were last year, and you likely could have been the day 1, day 2 pick in the NFL draft if you declared. What made you want to come back to Duke, though?
Yeah, like I said earlier, just the people. I couldn't have. I wanted to come back for another year, and finish school. I think develop a little bit more, find some more consistency in my game, improve my technique. Get in the weight room a little bit more. I just wanted to be able to kind of improve on some things. And there was just no better place to do that than Duke. Just from the top down, Coach Elko, our strength staff, my position coach, my teammates, that locker room. There's not a better place for me to find success. There's not a better place for me to improve as a player. And so it was a no-brainer. I felt so comfortable coming back here again. And yeah, like I said, I just wouldn't change anything about it. I absolutely love being here.
I love that, man. So obviously when you come back to school, you're going to be, talked about in the next year's draft class. And I already had you as, a first round pick in my way too early mock for next year. What is that? Do you look at that hype at all? What does that kind of first round hype mean to you?
Not to, no offense, but nothing. That's great for, my parents or my friends or whatever. But for me, like I said, I'm a process guy. That's what all the, the greats say is it's about your process. It's about your day-to-day habits, what you can do to become a better player. So I try to not worry about the results, and what next year and next April, I'm worried about camp right now. And then when I get into camp, I'll, worry about the season and just that building process and just day by day, that's kind of my mindset. And then, hopefully if I follow that and and find success doing that, that'll lead to some of the things you mentioned earlier. So that's
yeah. I feel like as a writer, I should be offended by that, man. But I think that is the perfect mentality to have, man. So I love that answer. When you watch the NFL though on Sundays, are there any offensive tackles that you try to model your game after a little bit?
Yeah, like I said, every tackle's different. Everyone's got different things they need to work on and different flaws. But I really enjoy watching guys who I find similar to my frame and athleticism. So I really enjoy watching David Bakhtiari, his past few years at Green Bay. I just think I watched a ton of him in pass protection. I think he's great. Rashawn Slater, I think he's great. So those are two of the big ones that I really enjoy watching, just because they're similar measurables to me. So I try to watch people that I can relate to in certain situations and things like that. But those are two of the guys that stick out to me and who I try to watch a lot of their film and learn from what they do and things of that nature.
I love that, man. So you're not the only Blue Devil on the offensive side of the ball that PFF is very high on next year. Riley Leonard, your quarterback, who, I know you're very, very close with him. I know you were a camp counselor at his camp. We'll talk about that in a little bit. But just what's your relationship with Riley and just how special of a quarterback do you think he is?
Yeah. I've spent a lot of time talking about Riley these past few days because I was at his youth camp and all the media outlets from Fairhope, Alabama were there. So this is pretty funny you're asking me. But, Riley's as good as they get. Riley's an excellent leader, excellent teammate, positive attitude, hard worker, detailed. Riley can go as far as he wants to go. Obviously, he's got all the athletic ability in the world. He throws a great ball, and and he just commands our offense. And just seeing him kind of grow from a position battle at quarterback last year to being the starter and being a leader this year has been awesome. And I love Riley, and so I'm so happy for the success he's been able to find. But I know for a fact that he's not done, and like I said, he can go as far as he wants to go, just based off how good of a person he is. So.
I love that, man. So obviously last year was the first year that Coach Elko was at Duke, and you guys, like you mentioned before, went from 3-9 to 9-4 immediately. What do you think it was about him as a coach, and what do you think clicked for you guys this past season?
Yeah, I just think it all started in January, right? We have a phenomenal coaching staff now and a phenomenal locker room, but that locker room really came together throughout. That locker room was built in the winter, in the spring, in the summer. It's just our strength and conditioning program is where it started. I think it was difficult. We had some work to do for sure, but I just think that difficulty and that hardship kind of brought our locker room together and just created this gritty culture, this underdog, chip on the shoulder culture. And I just think that carried us through the year. When things got hard, we never backed down. Like, it was pretty incredible. Like, everyone just always rose to the occasion. And, we had some adversity. We lost some close games, but we'd always respond the next week. So it was just so awesome to see, just being here for some of the darker days and winning 3 games a year was just, and it was just so awesome to see that kind of just culminate into a 9-win season. And so I think it started with that grit and that culture in the locker room, but then just through, great coaching and players just wanting to learn and having the want to win. I think it just showed on the field. I think we played smarter, faster, more physical. And I think you could kind of see the transformation, and, the sky's the limit in year 2. And so I hope we can kind of build on what we did last year.
I love that, man. So what should we expect from the Duke Blue Devils next season?
I think you should expect a very good core of guys coming back to win a lot of games. Like I'd say it, I'm going to say this now. Like, we'll take it 1 week at a time. Obviously, we want to win every week, and we fully expect to win every week. And I just think with our group of older, smarter players building on last year, I just think the sky's the limit, and I'm excited for this team, and I'm excited to see what we do this year.
I love that, man. So do you have any personal goals for this upcoming season too?
Yeah, win and keep Riley nice and clean and safe. Help us run the ball for thousands of yards.
I love that, man.
Those are my personal goals.
That's the perfect answer, man. So another Blue Devil I wanted to ask you about. I know you're going up against him too much anymore in practice. It was Dwayne Carter, who we consider to be one of the best D tackles in the country. How good is he? And I know, like I said before, you don't face him too much, but just how special of a D tackle do you think he is?
Yeah. It sounds like I'm just saying the same thing, but just like Riley, great teammate, positive attitude, smile on his face at all times, hard worker. I spent a lot of time with Dwayne this offseason, just in the weight room and things of that nature. And like I said, for Riley, he's as good as they come. He's a big reason we won 9 games last year, as well as Riley, and just their leadership and their work ethic, and the way they play football obviously is really great too. Dwayne's an athletic guy who's got some twitch to him, and always makes the big play. So I'm excited to see what Dwayne does this year, and I'm certainly happy that he's on my team, and I get to watch him as opposed to block him during games. So that's pretty awesome too.
I love that, man. So you mentioned before you were at Riley Leonard's youth camp. How cool is it that kids are looking up to you now? Do you have any advice for maybe any aspiring offensive tackles who look at you as kind of a role model for them?
Yeah, I mean, being at Riley's youth camp was awesome, right? Just be able to give back to, kids. I remember being their age and how when I looked at college football players, like they were my heroes. So I just tried to be, a good role model for the kids out there, and make sure I share some, positive words of encouragement, and hopefully inspire them a little bit. But I just think it's all about your work ethic. You can have all the talent in the world, but if you're not working hard, if you're not, sticking to a process and, developing as a football player and as a person, there's only talent can only take you so far. So just, I would just say to kids now, just, you gotta work hard in this world, today, there's a lot of distractions, but, if you can kind of, maintain a balance and continue to be a good football player and continue to get better year in and year out, you have the chance to be a successful player throughout your career.
I love that, man. Just a few more questions, Graham. I really appreciate the time, man. But obviously, you say you worked all this offseason. The work ethic is very important to you. Where are you trying to improve the most this offseason?
I think just consistency. I think that's my biggest thing I need to improve on. I think I have some great plays, but I think there's a few plays each game that I'd love to take back. And I mean, offensive line's not a perfect position by any means, but I just think kind of becoming a little more steady, and not as high and low, and just being a consistent player that is always dependable, not most of the time dependable, and just improving on that. So I mean, to improve on that, it all starts with the details, right? Just down, and like each down, you've got to know what you're doing, fundamentally, assignment wise, and just being able to kind of grow in my understanding of that, and of technique. I think that'll be a huge jump for me this year, and so that's really my main focus on what I'm trying to improve on as an individual player.
Absolutely, man. So what is your why? What gets you out of bed every single morning?
Just the love of the game and my teammates. I always tell people, they're like, why'd you fall in love with football? Why'd you start playing? And I mean, just being in a locker room is like one of the most fun things you can do as a human being. So I just love being in a locker room. I love the camaraderie of football. I love, just how it takes, 11 guys have to be perfect on a play to have a good play. And so I just love the team game, of any kind, but especially football. And so I think that's just my why. Like I just love being out there on the field and playing football, and trying to just make my family proud and make my younger self proud, who dreamed of, playing college football one day and playing football for a long time. So that's really my why. Just teammates, family, and my younger self.
I love that, man. So 20 years from now, after you put on the gold jacket, you're NFL Hall of Famer, what do you want to do with your life after you're done playing football?
Retire and put my feet up. No, I mean, I have a lot of, passions outside of football. But I mean, I think I'll worry about that. I'm going to try to worry about putting on a gold jacket first. And then after that, I'm a public policy major here at Duke. So I've enjoyed kind of getting to experience some of the political landscape, doing a little bit of internship work and just taking these classes and meeting the people. Meeting the people within the Duke network has been really awesome. I've gotten to do some really cool things. And so that could be an avenue for me. I'm not entirely sure. I love sports. I would love to stay in the sports industry after post NFL career, but kind of wherever the wind takes me after that, I'm really just trying to focus on having a professional football career first, and then I think I'll worry about what I want to do after as I get closer to that time.
Dude, I think you're on a good track right now, Graham, for that professional football career for sure, man. But this is an awesome, awesome interview, Graham. I really appreciate the time, man.
Yeah, of course.